these concerns after day one, and nothing has shaken my belief. It looks to me like Donald Trump has got into something which has turned out to be a lot more difficult than he thought it would be, perhaps because the Israelis had assured him it would be easier than this. And that now he's in a position where if he carries on, it's politically disastrous, economically disastrous. And if he gets out, he'll have the accusation that it's all been a waste of time and a failure. You know Trump extremely well. You've done him longer than I have. What would you be advising him right now?
I think, Pierre, it's nice to see you. I think that, first of all, now that there are dueling blockades, now that we are blockading Iran and their commerce, and they are, of course, blockading the world's oil supply, 20% of the world's oil supply, you have this, I think that the blockade by the United States of Iran and its commerce was a brilliant move and a losing hand. I think that the war has gone not the way anyone in the United States side wanted it to. It's been bloodier, more prolonged, seemingly more pointless, has no end in sight. But now that you have this situation in the Strait, in the Persian Gulf generally, I think that the blockade, the American blockade of Iran, is more impactful than the Iranian blockade, even though they are stopping the world's oil supply. I think what has to happen is what appears to be happening now with this Project Freedom, using as an excuse the humanitarian needs of the crews of all the vessels that have been stranded because of the Iranian blockade, using the fact they've been on these vessels now for many weeks with no end in sight. I think that the United States Navy has to be aggressive. And let's see, Iran says it has the Straits of Hormuz closed with its drones and its small craft and et cetera. Let's test that. I think that once more into the breach. I think that the United States has to try and see whether or not Iran has the capacity to close the strait. I believe that a kinetic response to any actions against any neutral ship has to happen, has to be dramatic, has to be overwhelming, has to be soon, or we leave with our tail between our legs. Pierce.
Okay, I meant to mention earlier, forgive me, Deborah Lee, Conservative Minister, is also joining us. Deborah, nice to see you.
On. Did that man really just say that? He just said, you know what, bro, Pierce, we're just going to F around and find out. It's like, yeah, we're just going to F around and find out and see what happens. Like, that's really the plan. Like, that is wild. Let's get back to it, guys. Don't forget to double tap that screen and like the video. But basically what he said is that, yeah, I guess we're just going to have to F around and find out and see what Iran does. Not the best plan, but okay.
Sorry, the eagle-eyed viewers would have seen 5 faces pop up and thought, who's the other one? So it's Deborah. Welcome back. Anna Kasparian, welcome back to you. I want to play a clip from John Bolton, which is kind of summing up what a lot of people on his side of the argument are feeling right now. Let's take a look at this.
Okay, Ambassador, who is going to blank first here? How does this finish?
Well, it's anybody's guess at this point. I think the United States holds a great advantage here, but it hasn't finished the job that was started. My definition of finishing the job is ousting the regime in Tehran, but there are steps less than that Trump could take, and I'm a little surprised that he hasn't done it. For example, if he were to use military force to open the Strait of Hormuz, which does not involve going back to the kinds of attacks we saw 3 or 4 weeks ago, if he could do that but keep the blockade on Iranian oil shipments, that would continue to put a huge financial squeeze on Iran, but would get a lot of much-needed oil out of the Gulf and into international markets. I think that is certainly something he can do to up the pressure, keep things moving, and avoid having to make some of the choices he clearly doesn't want to make and shouldn't have to make.
I mean, Anna, this comes with the backdrop, as I discussed with Megyn Kelly, where, you've got the Israelis itching to get back into fighting in Iran. They're making no secret of that. Already a lot of stuff going on again in Lebanon. There are conflicting agendas at play here. Trump getting a lot of pressure from all sides. A lot of people wanting to end this right now. Over 60% of Americans are not supportive of this war in Iran. Unprecedented negative numbers for a military conflict like this. What do you make of where we are? And what do you think is going to happen here?
Well, I think that the only way to secure the opening of the Strait of Hormuz, so you have transit of incredibly important cargo, including, energy supply that the globe needs, is to do so diplomatically. If there were a military option to do so, I believe that military option would have been used already, but we don't have that military option. Just to give you a comparison, when the United States was at the height of the war in Iraq, we had about 250,000 soldiers dedicated to that war. Right now, we have 10 to 15,000 military personnel. We're not even talking about the entire, number of troops being in combat or even able to engage in combat in the Middle East right now as we speak. So the point that I'm trying to make is there is no military option. When you look at the military weaponry we have, when you look at our THAAD missile interceptor system and the fact that we've depleted 80% of our missile interceptors, that puts our troops at a significant disadvantage. And I'm not the one saying this. The Wall Street Journal reported very specific details about how much of our weaponry and interceptors have been depleted already. And we do not have the manufacturing capacity to build quick enough in order to basically withstand the very...
And, I've explained this before, but that information comes from the CSIS, so the Center for Strategic and International Studies. And what they're telling us is that, we're running low on munition, and it seems like we're sacrificing a future conflict with China in case they ever try to take Taiwan for getting into this conflict or / war with Iran. So because we're getting into this conflict with Iran, we won't have really any munitions or not enough munitions to defend Taiwan against China if China chooses to invade. And that's pretty much what they're telling us. And what they're saying is that we wouldn't be ready unless we now put in an order for missiles that's going to take about 4 years to get here or to be completed.
Cheap drones that Iran is able to quickly produce. So the point that I'm trying to make here, Pierce, is that you have to reach an agreement diplomatically, and leaders lead, meaning that President Donald Trump has the leverage, has the power to force this in a diplomatic fashion. He just needs to basically push Israel aside and actually be a leader, not have Israel, dictate our foreign policy.
Curtis Sliwa, welcome to you to Uncensored. You're a former Republican candidate for mayor of New York, and I should just say at this point, my thoughts go out to Rudy Giuliani, former mayor of New York, and to his family. He's in critical condition in hospital, which was very sad news in the last few days. And I interviewed him actually on Uncensored only 2 weeks ago. So my best wishes to him and his family, and I hope he comes through that. But in terms of this war, a lot of Republicans I've been talking to.
Even though Rudy Giuliani is low-key a piece of crap, but I still hope he gets better, even though he is a piece of crap. I still don't want the man to die.
Are now having serious doubts about this. The longer it goes on, we were assured it was going to be over in 2 to 3 weeks, then 6 weeks. And now here we are over 2 months into this with no sign of it coming to any end anytime soon. And the obvious economic damage it's causing with gas prices and with inevitably food prices because of the loss of fertilizer that's being held up and so on. What do you make of it? Are you still supportive of this war? Do you think, as John Bolton does, that now you're in it, you've got to finish it and maybe trying to affect regime change as well?
Well, Pierce, I'm happy that you played John Bolton, who was the national security advisor for Trump in his first 4 years. Because remember, it was Bolton who barged into the president's office and said, Mr. President, you have to launch the Air Force because the Iranians just shot down a very expensive drone over the Straits of Hormuz. And the President Trump said, it's unmanned, right? Where's the proportionality? And Bolton wanted us to just bomb Iran. He's a war hawk. Yeah, that's why I'm shocked that President Trump, who kept us out of these ongoing foreign disputes, did not get us involved, has suddenly flipped the script. And now he's war hawk number one. And we all know why. He's been pushed into this. Bibi, an excellent salesman, convinced them that if you come in with us, there will be regime change. There will be insurrection in the streets, even though our CIA and Marco Rubio.
I mean, and let's just be real. That's what they were telling us in the beginning. It's going to be 4 days, 2 weeks, 62 days later. Look where we're at, guys. Nothing really got completed at all. Like they still got their missiles and drones. They still got the regime. They still got their nuclear material that we're fear mongering on. So yeah, we definitely were, or Trump definitely was lied to about this war by the Israelis, telling them that this was going to be something that could be done within 4 days to 2 weeks. Obviously, that was wrong. Even though our generals told Trump no, our own intelligence told Trump no, Tulsi Gabbard tried to tell Trump no, but apparently anybody that was telling Trump no, he just pushed out of the circle.
Told the president the next day after that meeting, that's not going to happen. And we see that Trump got bamboozled by Bibi. This is Bibi's war. We should not be involved in this.
Deborah Lee, are you supportive?
Hey guys, if you have the fantasy of Donald Trump getting a complete surrender out of the Iranians, I'm sorry, but remove that fantasy from your head. It's not happening. I mean, because they got control of the strait, it does seem like we're trying to fight them over, but until we remove that, you guys you guys can forget about a complete surrender. That's just not happening.
Of this war?
Well, first off, this is obviously not Bibi's war. Let's not throw Trump. Trump is a sovereign leader of the United States of America. He's our president. All of his decisions are his own. There's nobody who can bully him into a war. Every decision he makes, even the bad ones, are because he solely wanted to do them. As far as this war, as somebody who has wanted to see the end of the Iranian regime or the Islamic Iranian regime for a very long time, since childhood, growing up around Jews who fled from Iran very young, I'm kind of surprised that the war is still going on at this point. And as far as Anna said earlier, diplomatically, ideally, this would be a diplomatic exit. But a big challenge that we've seen, I can't attest to the exact numbers, but they prepared for this exact situation. There are factions split across the entire country. So even if the United States were to make a deal with somebody in Tehran, there could be a separate faction up in the north or in the south or somewhere that would challenge a diplomatic exit that would really create safety for the entire region. So at this point, I never thought that they were actually going to go after the Ayatollah. That was shocking for me. I didn't think that the United States of America would really take that chance, not knowing that we can guarantee regime change. Would I love regime change? Absolutely. Do I see a clear off-ramp for this war? Absolutely not.
Yeah, that wasn't the best idea to take out the Ayatollah without ensuring that it would cause a regime change. And it didn't. All we got was a more extreme Ayatollah.
We cannot just surrender to Iran because simply with flights, I'm flying to Israel in a few weeks. If we tell Iran that at any point they launch ballistic missiles, they can shut down airfare for the entire Middle East, can take complete control of the Strait of Hormuz, that is a dangerous position to leave them in. So I think we're at a really unfortunate time, but that's why I trust the leadership that I voted for in this administration. I trust them to get out of this.
Sadly, the leadership that me and you both voted for, sweetheart, is the reason why we're in this problem. He started this war, and before this war, they didn't have control of the strait. Gas was trading around that $50 to $60, and everything was going in the right direction. As soon as we hop into this war, everything goes in the wrong direction. For some reason, you guys in MAGA can't call it out. You're watching inflation go up, prices go up, gas go up, and you guys still can't sit there and say, all right, hold on, man, something's going on here. I ain't asking you to just throw Donald Trump away and just go full TDS. I'm not doing that. But you got to sit there and admit that, yo, this is not working out for the American people, and we wanted America first. This seems more like Israel first than America first, because Iran's not an imminent threat to us, but they sure as hell is an imminent threat to Israel. And what's an imminent threat to Israel is not an imminent threat to us. We need to separate ourselves from the Israelis if they're just going to keep on dragging us into conflicts into the Middle East like this, or just making us look bad on the world stage from what they were doing with Gaza under Biden.
In the best way possible. And at the very least, if we do get out without no more additional changes, it was avenging the close to 1,000 Americans who've been murdered by the Islamic regime over the last 47 years. So it wouldn't be a total loss.
But, you know, when you say you trust this administration, okay, but you voted for them, and Donald Trump couldn't have been clearer when he campaigned to be president in 2024. He was not going to take America into any more of these Middle Eastern wars. And then within a year or so,
Key, don't bring that cope in here, bro. Don't bring that cope in here. You really gonna sit here and say that prices were up before the war? Are you dumb? Like, dog, inflation was at 2.4 before the war. Gas price was like at what, 317 or something like that. So I'm sorry, but to sit there and say that, well, actually, wait, no, I think it was at like 340 or something like that. But I'm sorry, but to sit here and say that prices were up before the war is dumb as hell. Dumb and extreme cope.
Oh, he's gone into the biggest one imaginable. And we've all seen the consequences.
Well, President Trump has also been very clear that he will not allow Iran to get a nuclear weapon. And Iran is committed to a nuclear weapon. I know we destroyed a lot of their weaponry last June. That was miraculous. But at the same time,
Iran's not committed to a nuclear weapon. If you're acting like S.E.T, well, how do you know? Well, Iran's had a 60% enrichment since 2021. So if they wanted to go towards a nuclear weapon, why didn't they do it then under Biden? You know, while Biden had an open border, getting into it with Russia through proxy. I mean, all these distractions that we were going through under Biden, they had all the time in the world to go towards a weapon. And if it was really that much of a concern from them, then why just stop at 60% and just lay off like, okay, we're done, and just leave it there for what, years on years? That's how we know Iran wasn't going towards a nuclear weapon, because they had the 60% and they didn't progress further.
They're not going to stop
since 2021, guys. Since 2021.
They're not going to stop enriching uranium. We saw this with the Obama-Iran nuclear deal, which is horrible. They are committed to building nuclear weapons and trying to destroy the western part of this world with everything that they got. They will divert every resource to try and destroy Western civilization. And so I'm not surprised that we need to keep our, for lack of a better word, our knee on their necks to make sure that they are not trying to destroy the world that we know and love.
Yeah, I'm just not quite sure whose knee is on whose neck at the moment, because it looks to me like, as I've been saying regularly, there's an asymmetric war going on. One is the military conflict, which America and Israel have overwhelming superiority. And I don't doubt for a moment they've caused enormous damage to Iran's military. But there's also the economic war being waged around this Strait of Hormuz, which has enormous global consequences, as we're seeing. And at the moment, that strait remains shut. Despite all the protestation and late night rage tweets from the president, there seems to be very little he can do to get it open again. Let me bring in Adam Mockler. Welcome to Uncensored, Adam. You've obviously hit the headlines in the last few days. For those who haven't seen it, I think it's up there with my Russell Brand clip as the two most memed and republished clips of the week. So let's take a look at your one. This is you with Scott Jennings at CNN.
I mean, honestly, they have been at war with us for 47 years.
We all know that Scott Jennings is more than happy to defend a war with a country that starts with the letters IRA, that we are currently failing, that is going to put us trillions and trillions of dollars more in debt. I was only a few years old while you were in the administration defending prior endless wars. Now this war is failing.
8 weeks is endless to you?
Okay, you said it was going to be 4 to 6 weeks.
You have the attention span of a gnat?
Homie, I debated you on TV 4 to 6 weeks ago, and you said we were weeks away from it. Now you're making condescending remarks because you can't defend the fact that this war is not going your way. Wait, one more time.
Not going
Name one political concession. Name one political concession.
Honestly,
I ain't gonna lie. If you guys actually watched that exchange, bro was in his face looking directly at him. I ain't gonna lie. This man was staring a hole into the side of Scott Jennings' face. And then he was even like, oh, I see you're shaking. I'm like, all right, bro. So what do? Like, even I said, I'm like, all right, bro, you know, he's going to want to smack the shit out of you. I'm just going to be real with you. And I can't even blame Scott Jennings for doing so, because the way he was pressing him, not just through his argument, but literally in his face, staring him dead in his cheek. Like, I'm sorry, but that's going to piss anybody off. And Scott, he shouldn't have got that emotional. He shouldn't have got that upset. But it does show that he was bothered about not being able to defend his position all the way through. And sadly, I mean, man, this is where I say we kind of give leeway to the Dems when it comes to this Iran war. They have a really good argument. Not one thing is went Donald Trump's way during this war. Has it? Like, please tell me how. Higher gas prices going Donald Trump's way. Please explain how that works out. What? Russia being able to sell their oil for higher? Tell me, how does that help us out? How does that help Trump out again? Please explain. China able to get their oil through railways from Iran and through the Caspian Sea. Like, how does this help us? And and please tell me, how did Trump complete any of his goals? Because there's been no regime change at all, even though he wants to sit there and lie to us, tell us that there have been. Their missiles and drones are still capable. As you see, they're putting up those kamikaze drones in the Strait of Hormuz. So what has been completed? And anytime you press somebody on the right about this, they do get hella defensive. And I guess they start trying to call you un-American and all this crazy stuff because they can't defend their position. And they know damn well they're in the wrong. And nothing that Trump said was supposed to happen has happened.
I'm not going to have this guy's
everybody,
in my face.
everybody hang tight,
Honestly.
okay? No, everybody calm down, okay?
Now, somebody who was repeatedly actually manhandled by Russell Brand, I think your manhandling was at least a little bit removed. There was daylight between your arms and Scott Jennings. But what was interesting about the exchange to me was not that he was not entitled to get annoyed with the way you were gesticulating. I probably would have done too. But I've not seen him that rattled. Scott Jennings is normally ice cool on that panel show. I watch it a lot. I think he's a really interesting commentator.
Yeah, because he usually has a pretty good position on the war. This is like a terrible position that the right has a problem defending. It's the trying to defend the indefensible, to be quite honest with you guys. But you keep trying, so God bless. But usually Scott Jennings is able to defend himself because he's usually right. But when it comes to this war, it's really hard for him to defend it because he's in the wrong. That's just the reality of it. Like usually Scott Jennings is defending, I mean, what was it? Usually he's defending ICE immigration, transgenderism, or just like the government shutdown. He was killing them. He was killing them during that moment. When it comes to this war, he's literally trying to defend the indefensible at this point. And I know it sucks to hear that, but it's just the truth because I've not heard anybody on the right be able to defend the position for this war at all and convince anybody of it. Unless you're just a Donald Trump sicko fan who really just can't see this man doing no wrong no matter what he does. Like I said, he could shoot somebody in the middle of the street and you'll still vote for him.
The right on CNN, it's an unusual beast. They don't have many of them. And he holds his own often against 3 or 4 people. And on this occasion, Geraldo was also on the panel, I noted. And we'll come to Geraldo for his view of it in a minute. But I haven't seen Scott Jennings react like that to anybody. And that, to me, in the same way that I'm seeing with Donald Trump's slightly erratic and quite angry and testy social media activity in the last few weeks, it just looks to me like people that have gone all in on this war in Iran, now it's not playing out in any way that they predicted or told everybody that it was going to play out
at all.
They're getting testy. They're getting quite angry about it, which is a natural human reaction, but is increasingly obvious. And I thought your exchange with Scott was indicative of that. What did you think?
I don't want to take away from the point that I was making in the question that I was asking in that moment, because I have sat on panel after panel after panel with Scott Jennings as he lies about this war, not bound by any facts whatsoever, as he makes failed predictions, not bound by any timelines whatsoever, and as he condescends and trolls and provokes everyone else on the panel. I mean, even in the same panel, he made fun of my bedtime like 5 minutes earlier. So this is a man that's not bound by any facts or timelines or rules. So I said, I'm not going to be bound by rules that my opponent is not playing it. So you can say that I was gesticulating a bit too much. That's a fair criticism, but he could have politely asked me to tone it down. That is not what he did. I'm
be real with you. It's the downplaying of the war that really is cooking the right now. The fact that they downplayed and said, oh, Iran's only going to take 4 days, only going to take 2 weeks, and that hasn't happened whatsoever. I'm sorry, but you kind of lean into the whole, oh, what happened about 4 weeks? What happened about 2 weeks, guys? What happened there, guys? And I know it's annoying. It is annoying as shit. But you walked yourselves into that supporting this war, knowing damn well that when it went over, you knew the Dems were going to be on y'all ass. Like, all right, man, I mean, time, guys. It's going over. I thought you guys said 4 days to 2 weeks. What happened? And now you want to sit there and be like, you're just being un-American. It's like, no. I'm just holding you accountable. That's all. And holding you accountable is un-American, then trust me, bro. Most of America's un-American then, if that's the case. If holding y'all accountable is un-American, then I'm sorry, but I guess we're just living in an unpatriotic country.
Snapped because he realized he does not have an answer to the simple question, name one political concession we've gotten from Iran 60 days into this war. We've had moving, shifting timelines, shifting objectives for this war. They've been lowering the threshold for what victory is considered as. And just because I asked the question of, hey, what concessions have we gotten, that pisses him off. We've seen billions of dollars spent. We saw dozens of people, thousands of people in Iran have died, tens of thousands, but we saw over a dozen US soldiers die. So I'm going to continue to ask this very same question. What political concessions have we gotten from Iran 60 days into this war? The answer is absolutely none, and he knows the answer is none. That's why he freaked out.
Yeah, I think it's a perfectly
And don't
reasonable.
apologize.
No,
Don't
no,
apologize for
I
your
don't think you should be
gesturing.
apologizing. No, I mean,
Yeah.
let me bring Geraldo in firstly, because
That was a really good point. What political concession did we get within 90 days of well, not 90 days, sorry, 60 days of, well, this conflict / war with Iran? What did we get? Not a damn thing. Not a damn thing. I mean, MAGA will sit there and read off, we destroyed 90% of their Navy. Well, our intelligence came out and said that they still got 60% of it. So we only destroyed 40%, sadly. Oh, their Air Force is taken out. Well, they still got their air defense missiles, so can't really say it's been completely taken out. And then, of course, what was it? I mean, the original lie was Iran is in their weakest state ever. They can't do anything. They're just on the verge of regime change. And that was all blown into the wind once this war started. So I'm sorry, but it's really hard to believe what the administration's saying or what the right-wing media is saying when y'all have just been wrong like week after week after week. Y'all will say one thing the next day, be wrong about it, and then won't address it the following day. It's like that's the problem with Fox News and the other MAGA influencers. It seems like I'm like the only one. Oh, I'm not the only one. I would say I'm the only one at my level that's willing to call this out. Like everybody else with the 100K subscribers is kind of just following in line. Why? I don't know. Probably because they don't want to lose out on audience. But me, I don't know. I don't really care. I'm just not gonna lie to you about this war just because it makes you feel good. And for the pro-Trump agenda, which is cool. I mean, look, I'm cool with supporting my president, but I can't support my president in a war that he promised never to get us into. Remember, no new wars, especially in the Middle East.
Geraldo, you were on the panel. I want to play your reaction on News Nation to what you saw on that panel.
The kid was a dick. I mean, he really smart, eloquent, had his argument together, had obviously debated Scott before, and he was really being a dick. I mean, it was shut up, go out and get some life experience.
How many different?
No, I agree, though. He was being a dick. I mean, he's all up in his face, staring a hole into the side of his face. I'm just like, come on, guys. I'm pretty sure if any of you guys were like that, and you would be pretty pissed off if somebody was hounding you down like that. You would get mad. Now, Scott Jennings, I mean, he looked like he was about to punch old dude in the face. He said, get your effing hand out my face. So, hey. And we all know he was going to bow down because I ain't going to lie. Like, he don't look like the most opposing character.
I wasn't sure if you were talking about Chris Cuomo there, actually, Geraldo. I had to clarify you were talking actually about Adam Mockler. Now,
you still think so?
Well, Adam, I mean, what do you want to say to Geraldo? He called you a dick. You have a response?
Yeah, it's not a dick to try to force a critical question and try to force the conversation to where the American people want it. Geraldo, you were there when Scott made fun of my bedtime 5 minutes earlier. Again, this is somebody not bound by any rules whatsoever on this show. He's able to lie over and over. Why should I be bound by some decorum that my opponents aren't bound by? Do you see what I'm saying? It's not the 80s anymore. It's not even 2010 anymore. We are in a new era where we are playing in a reciprocal manner. So I'm not playing the games where I have to be nice. And regarding life experience, really quickly, you have a whole life of experience and you're on the same panels as me. We're on the same shows. We have a show last week. We have a show today. So life experience, what has it gotten you? I don't know.
All right, Geraldo, your life experience has got you nowhere, says the young dick.
Well, it's got me a career that's lasted 56 years so far. And
calm down, youngin'. He's still got way more experience in the game than you. Calm down. Like, show some respect to your elders. I mean, that's the problem with the new generation of libs here. It's like they got really no respect for the older generation. I mean, I don't care what generation of liberal I'm debating or talking to. I'm always going to show my respect, especially if they're older than me. Now, if they get disrespectful, okay, it's on. But if not, then, hey, you should show respect, regardless of, their political affiliation.
Counting, and aside from 10 Emmys and a few other trinkets.
Now you're on the same panels
Adam, listen, you don't be a wise ass, okay? I said to you in the commercial break that immediately followed your confrontation with Scott that I thought that you made some good points. The problem is that you can be very obnoxious in your presentation. Now, sometimes being obnoxious can lead to a whole career. But I advise you strongly, because you're a smart kid.
Like, bro, I'm sorry, but first off, Yes, he looks obnoxious. And second of all, doesn't he just have a punchable face though? Like, doesn't it look like his cheeks were just meant to get punched in? I'm sorry, maybe it's just my violent nature, which I don't really have, but I don't know. His face just looks so punchable. Like, come on, just stare at his face and tell me you don't ball your fist up. If you stare at his face, you're gonna ball your fist, and if you don't, you're lying to yourself.
You obviously prepared, for the debate. Stick to that. Stick to the substance, because I think that you do have a future. In terms of Scott Jennings, I like Scott very much. I didn't know him before this CNN experience. It's fun talking to him in the green room before the show, and then see the confrontation, this spontaneous combustion. I was surprised. I was surprised by the fact that Scott reacted as he did. But then, just listening to Adam, he can be very grating, and sometimes that works. I remember Morton Downey and a bunch of.
I ain't gonna lie. This is one thing that libs are just terrible at. Bro, libs have zero respect while debating. I'm sorry, guys. I got to call y'all out on it. But if you watch your favorite liberal debater on TikTok, you know what the F I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. They have no respect for the other side. They're off the rip disrespectful, off the rip interrupting. It's just there's no respect, and it's all types of snarkiness. And it's just like, okay, who y'all think y'all going to win over with this attitude? And I always just say, like, libs, if y'all going to debate like that, look, you can keep on doing it, but your content is not really doing anything to help. You're not bringing MAGA over to your side. You're actually just making them hate you more with your condescending attitude. That's all you're doing. Like, please, chill out with that. Like, if you think you're going to win with this condescending dickhead attitude, you're only going to push people more against the left, irrationally against the left. So if you actually want to bring more people over to your side, and you want to go ahead and stop the big, bad, evil dictator Donald Trump, stop being such a dick.
Others from daytime TV and so forth. But I strongly advise you to stick to the substance, because you can, as I indicated in the commercial break following the confrontation, you can be a voice for a generation that has so far been unable to penetrate into the mainstream media. That's my.
This is so indicative of the double standards that we see all throughout the media. I mean, you went on that whole rant, but you didn't mention that Scott Jennings made fun of my bedtime or whatever. Not that I care, but he's the one who has an obnoxious air.
What did he say about your bedtime? I missed that.
So I asked him a question 5 minutes before. I said, hey, what concession has Iran gotten? And he says, aren't you a little bit up past your bedtime or something? He started with the condescending jabs.
To be fair, Adam, you are literally beaming into the show from your bedroom.
It's a hotel room. I'm currently at a hotel room. But I mean, either way,
it's not the best way to refute the suggestion that it's past your bedtime.
What are you talking about? I'm in a hotel room in New York because I have CNN again tonight.
It's a joke. You're reacting a bit like Scott did the other day. So take a chill pill. You happen to have a bed behind you as you're refuting the charge that it's past your bedtime. I'm just making a joke.
It's a good joke. One final thing. I'm 23. Maybe my youthful arrogance will drop with time, but there's no excuse for Scott Jennings to be on air all the time, making remarks at everybody else. And then the moment somebody gives it back, he can dish it, but he can't take it. The moment somebody tries to force the question, what political concession have we gotten from Iran? He gets worked up. So yeah.
Well, okay. I don't know Scott Jennings at all. I never met him. I think he's a very effective communicator on a network, CNN, that when I was there was very, very, very cautious about revealing any kind of partisan bias, but now has a panel show where quite often on that show they have 4 on one side and Scott Jennings. So I actually feel like he puts up a pretty good fight, given he's often heavily outnumbered. But Anna, on a sort of slightly wider point here, it's very interesting to me. I just interviewed Megyn Kelly for 20 minutes at the start of this show. And I could have been talking to you about some of these issues, right? Same with Tucker Carlson. A lot of you have blended now into a weird family of people who have a lot of agreement about a lot of things. Iran, the influence of Israel, Donald Trump and his mistake as you see it, and so on. Did you think a time would come when you would be siding rhetorically?
Oh, God, do me a favor and double tap that screen, like the video, guys. Let's get more people in the conversation by double tapping that screen. And if you have any question, comments, jokes, or disagreements, support the channel by sending in a $2 super chat or up, so you can go ahead and ask your question, comment, or joke. And let's go ahead and get right back into it. Oh, and if you want to double your support towards a call-in, you can go ahead and send a Venmo. And you can go ahead and send the QR code above for that one.
On these big issues with so many who are on the conservative right. And what does that tell you about the state of the conservative right when you've got people like Mark Levin saying Tucker's mentally ill, everyone trashing Candace Owens and her trashing everybody else? There is a real split going.
Nah, the attack on Tucker and Candace is wild. I get it. I mean, sure, y'all want to attack Candace for going after Erica Trump because you feel like she's terrible for that. I mean, okay, understandable. You guys want to attack Tucker Carlson because, I mean, I really don't understand the hate for Tucker Carlson. I understand the hate for Candace Owens more than Tucker Carlson, strangely enough. But apparently there's people who wants them to be deplatformed, calling for their sponsors to take them down. It's just like, yeah, y'all doing the same thing the left is doing. These are people on the right who support Donald Trump vociferously, who are literally calling for the deplatforming and for, well, I'm gonna be real with you, the deplatforming and the debanking of people. So it gets kind of weird when the right is doing the exact same thing as the left and they don't care. They don't even see how they're a reflection of what they were fighting against under Biden. But it is what it is, guys. All I'm just going to tell you is that if this is what MAGA is doing, then this is why I'm out. This is why I said I'm out, because you guys are literally turning into the radical left. Except I'm going to have to call y'all the radical right.
Going on the conservative right. And there's you,
I'm just
firmly on the left as you've always been, but now siding rhetorically, to me, it seems, on these big issues with people that would historically have been the complete opposite to you.
I'm going to get back to your question in just one second, but I have to say the debate about tone is the exact type of distraction that Zionists are hoping for, so you don't actually debate the substance. Mockler, your tone was fine. Your hand was nowhere near his face. You have no reason to apologize. The reason why they're attacking your tone is because they can't attack your substance. Now, moving on to Pierce's question.
Somehow blame Zionists
Pierce,
for that? That's mental illness, but okay.
Yeah. Okay, right. You're calling me mentally ill? Do you want to go there?
What does blaming
I
Zionists
would
have
just
to
say,
do with?
I'm not talking to you. I'm going to answer Pierce's question calmly and not let you bait me, because that's what you guys do.
I hope you can.
Pierce, to answer your question, I think that right now it's not really a question of left versus right on this issue. It's a question of good versus evil, America first versus a foreign country first. And right now, this war is something that, as Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, has said repeatedly, has been a dream of his for decades. And he finally got his dream to the detriment of the American people, since we're the ones paying for this war. We're the ones who lost 13 soldiers as a result of this war, and we shouldn't be fighting it. And so I think Tucker, I think Megyn Kelly, I think people like me and Cenk, regardless of our political views overall, look at this war, look at the undue influence of Israel over our government and foreign policy, and we have a problem with that. We are America first. We have some very real problems here within our own borders that are not being addressed at all, even though President Trump alleged that he was going to address those issues. And in fact, the very issues that people voted for him on, including doing something about affordability, he has only made worse by agreeing to enter this war. So I think that's what's going on, why there's a little bit of agreement when it comes to big picture issues, like whether or not our leadership is America first, whether or not our foreign policy is serving us, and whether or not we really...
I'm sorry, but the obvious test if our leadership was American first is that, well, would they get into war with Iran knowing damn well is going to cause economic instability in the global economy and in America? So that just proves alone that I don't think our government is right now working in our best interest. And I don't like to admit this, but that's seeming the issue. They're literally telling us, oh, well, you should accept high gas prices so Iran doesn't have a nuke that they never had. So you're accepting high gas prices for basically no reason. And that's how they're selling this war to you. It's like, it's insane, but this is what they're doing. And guys, like I said, this war is not America first, because it's not making anything better for your everyday American. Maybe for your oil executives, I mean, shoot, maybe for your weapons companies, but not your everyday American.
Want to continue this alliance with a country that has only sucked our resources and forced us into wars that we shouldn't be fighting.
Okay, Deborah Lee, what was the point you were trying to make?
At the beginning, she referenced that this is Zionist distraction to talk about tone. And I was just pointing out that to blame Zionists for pointing out the tone when this was a very viral interaction between Adam and Scott, a lot of people had a lot of opinions. That's the kind of mental illness that we ascribe to anti-Semitism, where it rots your brain and you start seeing these connections where they come from nowhere. And something very worth mentioning is somebody who's very passionate about making sure that Republicans win in this country for the midterms. If we stop this war tomorrow,
if y'all cared about that, then why are y'all supporting a war with Iran? If y'all truly cared about that, why are you supporting war with Iran, making y'all the most, like, I'm gonna be real with you, pro-Zionist party ever? Why are you supporting this war with Iran then if you care about the midterms? Because I'm gonna be real with you, you don't care about the midterms if you're supporting this war, because you know this war is unpopular with people on the right. You know it's extremely unpopular with the independents and the people on the left. And all you're doing is assuring that, no, trust me, we're not going to vote Dem, but the Dems are going to have a higher voter turnout. And the people who are already in the middle, the independents, are now going to go towards the left, because we've shown, or the right have shown, that not only won't they hold themselves accountable for being pro-war, but they completely lied and got in on anti-war. Then they switched up and then act like you're the one who changed. Like, can you imagine that? I came in here on no new wars, fixing the economy for lower prices. Then when MAGA switches up, they're like, no, S.E.T, you're the one who's a leftist now. You're un-American. When you're going to become a Democrat? And to that, you can kiss my ass.
Would really not move the needle for the Republican Party in terms of the midterms. And the biggest reason is because we have these rogue liberal activist judges who consistently overturn every single win from the Trump administration. And so until we rein back these activist judges in our country and assure that we can actually have the long-lasting wins that we voted for lasting in this country, that is the biggest challenge for the midterms. Americans are not feeling the wins from the administration.
I don't think that's going to be the problem. I think the problem for the midterms is going to be, if this war drags on with all the economic havoc it's causing, then what's going to happen is that regular Americans are going to look at two promises Donald Trump made: not to drag America into pointless, expensive Middle Eastern wars, and to focus on America first and getting the cost of living down. And if neither of those things have been achieved, in fact, the complete opposite has happened, then I suspect the Republicans are in for an absolute shellacking in November. Now, there's still time to rectify this, but every week that goes by with this war is another week which is longer than we were told this was all going to last. And I'm looking at the prices.
Here's the thing, though. I'm sorry, but the Republicans who are against this war are going to look at the guys in MAGA. If we lose the Senate and the House, we're going to look at you guys like it's y'all fault. So we told you, like, bro, we told you, if we keep supporting this, we may even lose the Senate. The House might be a done deal. We can still keep the Senate. If you keep supporting this, you guys are literally sacrificing everything that MAGA is meant to be for war with Iran. And y'all seem to be okay with it. So, you know, when the Dems get back in power, they want to make Donald Trump a lame duck president. They want to open back up the border, start transing kids again. I don't want to hear no complaints, because you guys sacrifice, well, the Make America Great Again agenda for the Democrats to come back in power, because you wanted to get down with Donald Trump with this war with Iran. I don't want to hear no complaints about how the leftists are crazy lunatics. We knew this, and y'all still made the decision that would put them back in power. You understand this, right? So y'all want to go off of how they're lunatics, they're crazy, they want to destroy America, but yet you risk putting them in power for war with Iran? How dumb do you fucking sound right now?
The gas prices, the inevitable surge in food prices that's going to come because of the fertilizer issue and so on. It's all bad news for Trump. His approval rating is at a record low. He should just get out of this thing. I just want to come to you, Curtis, if I may, about something completely different, because there was another big event last week where my king and queen came to your great country. And you said this.
Oh, total agreement with him. Because I was in India. This was about 15 years ago, and I met with historians there. They stole all the artifacts, not just in India, all over the world. They refused to give it back. So they have the king and the queen, you know, the royalty. They're a bunch of deadbeats, slackers, the worst welfare cheats in the world. So the countries ask, you know, could we have our artifacts back? And they say no. Meantime, India, they had 2 million volunteers join the king's army in World War II to defend the crown. 100,000 casualties, many more injured. I think the least that the royal family, the royal stiffs, could do is not stiff the Indian people, but they do it, and they don't think twice about it. And they should have met with the Epstein victims.
So a stinging attack on my monarch and his wife there. This is about the Koh-i-Noor diamond, which is an ongoing argument and dispute. It dates back several hundred years, and I'm not going to get into that particular argument. But when you call King Charles a slacker, Curtis, I just wanted to point something out to you. King Charles is 77. I believe you're a very robust 72. So he's 5 years older than you. He was diagnosed with cancer in February 2024 and is still having regular treatment for this cancer. And yet in 2025, he conducted 390 solo engagements and 488 solo and joint engagements. Slacker? Really? My king? A slacker? He's the hardest working cancer patient in the world.
Really offended.
Let me get the small violin out. I had stage 4 prostate cancer. I was shocked.
I'm sorry, but it's really hard for us to feel bad for monarchists since, we're American and we don't get down with the whole monarchy thing. So, screw your king. But we have respect for him, though, but we don't care.
5 times with hollow point bullets on the orders of the Gottis to the Gambinos. I'm out there every day. The difference is when your king and your queen came to lay the flowers at the memorial at 9/11, which was good, not only for all the Americans lost, 3,000, but the 69 Brits, just a block away is the memorial to the Irish famine, where your royalty was responsible for the killing of 1 million Irish. Up the rebels, Easter Rising, John Conley, your Queen Victoria did this, and your royalty never apologized for the death of 1 million Irish. You have a lot, your royalty has a lot to apologize for.
And do your leaders have a blameless record going back 200?